Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be myself taking you guys around and introducing you to all of my horses. Now I have 3 that I own, 1 lease pony, so you're going to be meeting 4 of them today. And now I know some of you guys, you've been here a while, you've been long time supporters, so you're going to know a little bit more than most about each of these guys. But I have noticed that especially in the last couple of months, I have actually picked up some new subscribers and I'm starting to get a lot more comments asking questions about each of them. And some of them are starting to reoccur, so I thought it's probably about time that I actually do an updated, 2020 version of Meet My Horses. I think the last time that I did do this video, God, it might have been like when I first started the channel, which would have been like maybe 2 years ago, and back then I only had Fletch. So it's just about time that I did an updated version, I think. So I am just going to go and grab the children and then we can get this video started. Alright, so horse number 1, and this is a very special guy. If you've been here from the start, you definitely know who this is. This is Fletcher. He is my thoroughbred gelding. He is 12 years old now, so sort of middle-aged now. He is the horse I've owned the longest, but is also the absolutely most problematic, troublesome one of the lot. Maybe the most problematic I've ever owned, to be honest. If there's something he can get, he will get it. If there's a way to hurt himself, he will do it. And Fletch, like all of my horses, has a multitude of nicknames. So technically his stable name is actually Fletcher, but he is definitely more known just as Fletch. That is pretty much what everyone calls him. He's also known as Fletchy Blue, Fletchy Moo, Mr. Blue, Sticks McGee. I think they're the main ones. Just Blue Moo as well, that's another one. I try my best to be as professional as possible when I film my YouTube videos and make sure that I call all the horses by their main name so it's not to confuse you guys, because it's hard enough I think already to tell him and Peach apart. Some people struggle because I've got 2 big chestnut horses, but if you do struggle, it's really easy to tell them apart. Fletch has the white markings on his face. He's also much taller and slimmer, and he's also actually a lighter colour than Peach too. She's a slightly darker chestnut and she has no white markings whatsoever, so that's how you can tell these 2 apart. So Fletch did actually race as well. His sire was Diatribe and his dam was a horse called Glamour Miss. Now Diatribe actually had quite a bit of success, so I think they were hoping that Fletch was going to be a really great racehorse, but he was very, very slow. He really didn't have any success. He only had 13 starts before they retired him, and I did purchase him from someone who had purchased him as a racehorse, and then they had tried to sort of turn him into an English riding horse, and they weren't really enjoying him that much, so they decided to sell him. They had other horses as well, and he just wasn't really suitable for them. So that is how I came to get him. Something that Fletch likes is his dinner. He will literally try and run you down to get to his dinner when it comes to that time, so you do have to watch him. So apart from the obvious answer of food, Fletch actually really loves going out on trail rides, but you do have to be really careful. He does need to be the leader of the group or he throws a small tantrum. So he likes to be out in front and he just loves seeing new things and sniffing things, and he's just always so energetic and absolutely loves it. In terms of his dislikes, what do you not like? Oh, he doesn't like being left in the paddock, so I do feel bad for him at the moment. That's why I've been bringing him up when I do ride Peach, because he is a horse that is easily bored, and he doesn't like to be left in the paddock. So overall, I would describe Fletcher's personality as being very, very sweet. He's never been one to rear or buck or do anything purposely mean. He is just a really, really sweet guy. And that's why I absolutely fell in love with him when I went and tried him out. But Fletch definitely has that side of him that is more that stereotypical type racehorse personality, in that he can get quite anxious and stressed, particularly when we go to anything that has a large atmosphere like a competition. He can get very, very tense and become quite difficult to ride. So that is something that we always have to constantly work on. But when we're at home, he is like this 98% of the time. So it's at home, it's really not an issue, but it's just something that he's held onto from his racing days. Peachy. So I would say currently I'm really not doing too much with Fletch at all. He has not been in ridden work for the better part of a year. A lot of you guys would already know he has head shaking syndrome. We have not figured out a complete solution for that yet. The head shaking has subsided substantially now that summer for us in Australia is just about over. It is seasonal for him, so at the moment he only head shakes in summer. I know there are solutions like nose nets and things like that, but none of those have worked for him, so I don't feel comfortable riding him through the head shaking. Back when I first had Fletch in the early years, we did a ton of eventing, just low level stuff, nothing too crazy. We didn't probably go past a meter in fence height, but he's such an awesome horse to event. He's very, very bold on cross country, so you just feel really, really safe. But I don't think that we'll realistically get back to eventing, but I would be really happy to be maybe doing some low level show jumping, maybe some dressage days. I think that that is being extremely hopeful. I think most likely he might end up being a trail riding horse or just doing some light work around the farm. But he is definitely a forever horse, so I think ultimately I might end up having him as like the older horse that goes in with Tic Tac as a paddock mate at some point. So, but either way, yeah, I would never ever ever consider selling this guy. Yeah, I could never, just couldn't do it. Alright, I'm gonna go and pop this guy away, and we can go and meet the next horse. Alright, so on to Peach, also known as Miss Peach, Princess Peach, Mama Peach, Orange Pone number 2. I think that's all of her main nicknames pretty much. But she is a 4-year-old mare. She is a stock horse cross thoroughbred. If you're not familiar with the stock horse breed, I would describe them as being very, very similar to thoroughbreds in their build. They're quite a fine type, but they're really well known for being super hardy and having really trainable temperaments, which she definitely does. She is such a sweet, sweet mare. Even for a crazy chestnut mare, she definitely doesn't fit the stereotype, that's for sure. Funnily enough, her sire and her dam are actually unknown. They're essentially unlisted, and that is because she was actually born at a thoroughbred racing stud. So what they did at this particular stud was that they had stock horse mares in with the thoroughbred brood mares, and each year they would also put the stock horse mares in foal, and essentially what that meant was that they always had a backup lactating mare should anything go wrong with their more expensively bred thoroughbred mares or foals. So Peach was actually the offspring of one of those stock horse mares, but part of that is that you don't get their breeding details. So I didn't purchase her straight from the racing stud. The people I bought her from did though. So they'd had her since she was a foal. I think they bought her at around 6 months old from the stud, which is probably around when she got weaned from her mum. And they had her until she was 3 years old, and then they broke her in, and that's when I purchased her. So in terms of what she likes, Peach loves the high gain smoochies. They're like a little low GI horse treat. Funnily enough, my vet actually put me onto them, and she's absolutely obsessed with them. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, guys, just so you know, but they are a really good product. I love them. High gain, if you're watching, like, feel free to like send some Peach's way because she's keen. Dislikes wise, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. She's a pretty chill horse, although when I did first get Peach, she'd actually had I think a silly little accident with her rug with the previous owner, which they told me about. It was yeah, there wasn't anything they did on purpose. I think it was like she got off her rug and it ripped and it gave her a fright. But when I first got her, yeah, she didn't like being rugged. She used to walk off or trot off when I would try and bring her rug out to her, but that has since definitely left. She's not like that anymore because now she's been rugged for a while and hasn't had any more bad experiences, so she is very relaxed with it now. Hey, you're used to the rugged life now, aren't you? Personality wise, if you guys hadn't already guessed, Peach is extremely relaxed and chill. I love her personality. It's so anti the whole chestnut mare stereotype. She's a very relaxed, chill horse in general, and I find that even though she still has her baby moments, she's just very, very willing and tries really, really hard, and that's pretty much all you can ask from a horse. It's funny too because when I did go to buy her, like, she wasn't exactly what I was after at the time, but her temperament just absolutely won me over, and I am so glad that I purchased her now. Or, you know, I wouldn't have Tic Tac in my life and I wouldn't have this sweet little mare to be working with right now, so I'm so glad that I did end up purchasing her. In terms of what I'm currently doing with Peach, a lot of it is still just foundation training and conditioning work essentially, because some of you would know, she was broken in when I first got her, but she was 3 years old, and then she essentially had like over a year off with obviously having Tic Tac, her foal, and she only came back into work at the end of last year, so we're still in that sort of foundation training period at the moment. But in terms of what I want to do with her in the future, I am really hoping that we can get out to maybe a little dressage competition maybe at some point over the next few months. That would be really fun. And I want to teach her how to jump this year as well. So that's sort of what I've got planned for her in the future. And at this stage, I don't see myself like ever getting rid of her at the moment. I think she's going to be an amazing little all-rounder. I'm hoping that eventually she will be my next eventer. Hopefully we'll see how she goes with it, but I think either way she's just a really beautiful mare. And then, you know, who knows what will happen down the track, but I think the fact that Tic Tac is such a beautifully produced little foal, I definitely won't not consider putting her in foal again at some point. So we'll see what happens. Talking of all things foals, I'm going to introduce you guys to Tic Tac. And next up, this is the light of my life, the baby of the property. This is Miss Tic Tac. A lot of you guys would already know her. She is also known as Mick, most commonly around here. I don't know where that nickname came from, but it has become Mick or Mick Mac as well. Also TT or Baby T, any of those names sort of apply. Now this little one actually doesn't have a show name just yet, so if you guys do have any ideas, please do leave them in the comment section down below, because I just can't settle on anything just yet, and I've literally been racking my brain for like the last 10 months trying to pick one. Her mum is, or her dam if you want to be official, is Ruby Red, which is Peach, and her sire, I can't tell you guys what his actual name is because I don't want to reveal who he is out of respect for the previous owners. I just want to protect their privacy, considering the Peach was sold to me as a horse that wasn't pregnant and we ended up with you. Not that I'm unhappy about it, that's for sure. But what I can tell you guys is that Tic Tac's sire was a warm blood. I think I have said that before. So she's a warm blood cross thoroughbred cross stock horse technically. And her sire's sire, so technically this little one's grandsire, on that side is actually a very well-known German dressage horse called Quarterback, which is where she gets her chunky looks from. So if you guys do have any suggestions, please do leave them down below in the comments. So her absolute favourite thing in the world is getting scratchies. The thing that she dislikes the most has to be flies. She absolutely hates them. She's so sensitive to them. I have to put her fly mask on every single day because she gets so annoyed by them. I definitely think a big part of that was being born in winter, so she didn't have to deal with flies until she was about 6 months old. And then she was just highly offended by their presence once summer rolled around. I do feel like most of you are probably pretty caught up on this little one's history. She was a surprise foal. I bought Peach, like I said, over a year ago now, and we didn't know, but there was a little bun in the oven at the time. And then when I got closer to foaling, we found out that she was actually pregnant, which was a very big surprise, I have to say. So we did get a little bit of a 2-for-1 deal there. And now, you know, I couldn't imagine it any other way, so glad to have her. So even though she was a big surprise and I was not intending to have a foal as soon as we did, I just could not ever see myself getting rid of her. She is just absolutely amazing. She has such a nice personality, can be a bit pushy like right now. I'm just going to let her chew on her leader. That seems to be keeping her distracted. Oh, don't put the whole thing in there. Yuck. So this cheeky little miss, she's going to spend probably the next at least 3 years just in the paddock growing up, and then I'm hoping that we will break her in and that she will eventually go on to become my event horse. So obviously she's got dressage bloodlines, but I think with the mixture of thoroughbred and stock horse probably makes her a little bit more athletic than her dressage horse counterparts. So I'm hoping she will take to it quite well. She definitely has a great personality already, so I think she will be quite a willing horse. I think she'll be a nice horse. And it will just be a really cool experience taking a horse from literally birth to ridden work. Something that I've never ever done before, so it's going to be super exciting when that does happen. But yeah, for the moment, she's just playing around and being a foal and growing up. Oh, and a lot of people ask me too how big they think she's going to be. She should get to about 15'3", 16 hands depending. So she should be somewhere in between Peach and Fletcher most likely, height-wise. Alright you guys, so on to the smallest member of the herd. This is Pepsi. Now Pepsi is relatively new. He is a lease pony, so I do not own him, but he will be with us probably for the next year, babysitting Tic Tac. He is 20 years old, so he is an older gentleman. We don't know his exact breeding, but he is definitely some sort of Shetland. He may have a bit of miniature mixed in there as well because he is quite small. But yeah, at 20 years old, he has well and truly earned his retirement, so he is not ridden anymore. Back in the day, he was ridden by kids, but now that he's in retirement, he spends his time looking after foals like Tic Tac. That is what he was doing previous to coming to us, so he has quite a bit of practice. The thing he loves the absolute most is hands down food, which is also problematic because he is a very chunky boy, so we have to keep a very close eye on him to make sure he doesn't gain any more weight. I'm actually trying to get him to lose a little bit at the moment, believe it or not. And his biggest dislike is definitely his grass muzzle, so he does have to wear that for a few hours each day to try and slow down his intake of food. And he sometimes runs away from me when I come to put it on, which I don't blame him, but it's because I have his best interests at heart. I would hate for him to founder or anything like that, so that is why he has to wear the grass muzzle. Oh, you got an itchy leg? He's so cute. I am absolutely loving having Pepsi here. He makes for such a good companion for Tic Tac, and they're getting along really, really well, so it's making me really happy. And like I said, we will have him here for the next year, so prepare to see him in a few future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Like I said, if there's any questions that I sort of didn't really answer today, then make sure to pop them down below and I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. And before you go, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I do put a video out every single week, and I shortly will hopefully be putting 2 videos out a week, so please do subscribe. It really does help me out. And you can also find myself and my 3 horses on Instagram and TikTok at hand.equestrian. Bye guys. Why are you always kind of yawning on my videos?